Hello, Michael Lapede here. Welcome back to our business tips. Here to talk to you today on an introduction to dividends. What is a dividend? A dividend simply is a payment out of the profits to the shareholder or owner of the corporation. And in a nutshell, when it comes down to dividends, corporations are allowed to pay out to any of the shareholders based on their class of shares, whatever profits it decides to. If there's an agreement, it has to follow the agreement, but if there's no agreement, then they will just decide how many dividends to pay out. Now, private corporations, such as the small ones most of us have, can pay what's called a non-eligible or other than eligible dividend, whereas public corporations, those large ones that you invest in, they pay what's called an eligible dividend. What's the difference? Well, an ineligible dividend is actually taxed a little higher than an eligible dividend. Because of something called a dividend tax credit, the eligible dividend gets it a higher tax credit, and the lower one, the ineligible, gives you a lower tax credit, therefore you pay a little more tax. Dividends are always paid out of retained earnings, and you can never pay dividends above your retained earnings, okay? Now, if dividends is your only source of income in Canada, depending on what province, you can make $25,000, $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 or more if you have other tax deductions and credits, paying zero tax. You don't pay CPP on the dividends, and you might pay no tax up to a certain point depending on your deductions and credits, but minimum 20, 25, 30, depending what province you're on, that you can accept in dividends before you really start paying any significant tax. It's pretty good. Now, dividends are considered passive income, not active income, so that's very important for your planning. And there's no CPP or EI, like I said, on dividends. There's none of that. And the one benefit, if you have your own corporation and you want to pay dividends, I'll give you a little tip here. Using different classes of shares, you can pay different amounts of dividends to your shareholders. I mentioned that in another video too as well. But in a nutshell, if you have different classes of shares, you can pay different amounts of dividends versus if you have the same amounts of shares, you have to pay the same amount of dividends. If you had any questions, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for being part of our business tips, and we'll see you in the next video.